How about my dearest YouTube friends? Today we are in a new video. We are going to explain how the new boss of the Age of Pain works, the very powerful ARES, who we are already seeing has 1,000 and a half power and 15,000 health. I have to remind you that if you want this mission or directly that I kill you and you do the way and it is cheaper, because if you want that help you have my WhatsApp in the description with some pretty good prizes. Good compared to other mercenaries. So friends, you have my WhatsApp in the description in case you want me to support you both in all ways and directly against this ARES. So what we're going to start is by reading the abilities that this very curious ARES has that basically war never changes. The mature attack force is always active, and the resistance to modifiers on attacks and the pressure of ARES' skills cannot be reduced. And it is immune to blocking super attacks, slowness, and stopping transforming the motivation of power and other events. The truth is that the attacks and critical damage force comes from the multiplication of its attacks. The probability of ARES opponent's flawless block remains at its initial values and is immune to indestructible treasure, immunity to death and immortality. ARES bathes in blood and carnage and is unharmed by its damaging effects. Therefore, we are not going to be able to do any damage by disadvantages. When the attacker comes to life from a regeneration effect, ARES scorn the so-called laws war granted him. Percent of life earned as a permanent attack force, so we also cannot have a character that regenerates the opponent's effects that are activated against final bosses are not activated against ARES. ARES respects relentlessness. When he defeats a character, that character gains 100% indefinite vigor. Passive by fight excludes being knocked out by Super Attack 3 when fighting his arch-rival Hercules. ARES' unfathomable hatred generates a power bar every 3 seconds, so we won't be able to use Hercules as well. Then I'll be back. Machine gun court with ARES strong attack. Strong attack cannot fail, be joined or interrupted, but can be punished. The second impact covers all the sand, inflicts 60% of passive suppression and 60% of withering, both lasting 60 seconds. Therefore, I recommend that you do not try to make ARES throw the hard blow. Then the war has changed with sub-attacks 1 and another with ARES sub-attacks. The attacker can't retreat as the spirit of war cuts your entire retreat, so it's kind of rooting after the kick. Each hit uses a different weapon and requires performing a different action at the same time as the hit of with a well-timed block sword, with a dodge axe with a spear, a weak attack when sliding it up or down. Performing the correct action prevents the blow from being carried out and grants the attacker a 70% passive effect of vigor that we remember that vigor goes. Well, increasing our damage statistics, not doing so, results in the attack having an impact regardless of the fact that this damage cannot be prevented or reduced and always forces a reaction. And finally, it is an attack 3, it is a guaranteed knockout, and basically we are going to have phases like those of the rest of the bosses that basically harmful effects are forgiven. The effects of each phase are cumulative. During the super attacks of Dales, the time moves 20% more space. With each consecutive phase, 7.5% becomes 0. Therefore, it does not give us much of a chance to see what the type of blow that is going to throw within the new phase. Removes all vigor passive effects granted by ARES effects in multi-fights and converts each of them to 5% of ARES' intimidation passive effect for 5 seconds. When these intimidations expire, ARES becomes passively blockable in for Blinde Sutile for 5 seconds. So yes, let's move on to the gameplay, to the explanation of this character by facts. Good friends, we are already in the fight, and in the meantime I am going to explain to you what are, so to speak, the objectives or effects that this phase number 1 that we are already seeing will have, which is called incursions that range from 100% of the life of ARES up to 91%. The health percentage of the Nosu attacker can be higher than ARES. Therefore, if at all we have it at 93% and our character is 100% alive, his life will begin to degenerate based on 1% per second. Therefore, until the 2 lives of both that of ARES and that of our component are equated, so to speak, it is the one that degenerates the life of our character Al, so that it becomes at the same time the same as that of ARES. Okay friends, here you have already seen that something has come out on the right, which is basically a chop, which is going to be very useful for fights to be able to defeat him, especially in this phase 1 and phase 2. And friends, with the sword, you have to make a stop with the axe, which is basically during ARES' super attacks. You will have to dodge it with the spear. You will have to make a weak attack on ARES. And with the machine gun, you will have to make it up or down then with sub attack 1 that you are already seeing on the right below, because you will have to perform a series of commands as you are already seeing on the screen, that the first blow will have to do dexterity, stop, well, stop is double stop. Okay, that is, it gives you a chance to do double stop. That is why I have made it weak and dexterity. You are already seeing it with the hit, sword, spear, and well, that I think it was an axe. Okay, so that is sub attack 1, but with sub attack 2, that moment in this phase, I recommend that you always force yourself to throw super attack 1 with super attack 2, since it will start with a sword. Then you will have to stop, weak stop, dexterity, and dexterity. Those are, so to speak, the commands, the chops that have to be developed. You are already seeing the fight against this ARES, right? We are completing it, and in this case we have failed in the last two commands. The chop that I put below on the right doesn't always work. It's the What's more, it usually comes out, okay friends, because you have already seen that, for example, he has jumped and a double sword has come out. Okay, you are already seeing it there, for example, how he is sticking the sword, spear, and axe. Okay, let's remember that with the axe you have to dodge and make it dexterous. That's why the commands work quite well. But it depends. Here you are already seeing that the sub attack has thrown us 2. And as in this case, well, I remind you that this is the first fight that I do opposites, therefore I am not fully developed. Well, basically, you have already seen how we were able to fall against this character. He already has literally 92% of his life left, almost to move on to the second phase to be able to explain it. The truth is that in this case, at the moment, things are being more or less simple, and I already tell you that you have to take into account the blows and especially the combos. As you are seeing down there on the right, our friend ARES already has a little left. So we are seeing it. As we are doing it, look at how we are doing it with Hulk and just with the axe. Well, we avoid the last and punish. I have not said it, but at the same time we do those disadvantages, so to speak, since we enter into the advantages of vigor. Okay, now folks, we enter phase number 2, and folks, this phase is called containment and goes from 90% to 61% of life. In this case, ARES now only. And he will launch super attacks as long as he has 2 or more power bars and decides to use his super attack 1, super attack 2 random, which is why he has gone down to the right. I have told you that sub attack 1 usually starts with an axe and sub attack 2 usually starts with a sword. We have to be very attentive, so to speak, to the animation, that in this case it is going to pull super attack to know what commands we have to be performing. In addition, every one of the attacks he goes, whether they are provided by ARES, whether they are impacted or not impacted, ARES will generate a 5% power bar for each hit. So he will have a kind of passive power adoption, so to speak. Also, ARES becomes more aggressive the closer he is to the attacking angle. So if we take her to the corner, our friend ARES to our own corner, he's going to be much more aggressive and he's going to throw more super attacks. That is quite good for us, especially knowing that with the accumulation of power it has, it may be reaching super attack 3 and it may be costing us a lot. Life is worth it, so well, there we have it. Is it still the same operation as phase 1? Let's remember that if we have life beyond 100%, and just as it is happening now, we are going to be degenerating life 1% per second, and we have to be performing. Those the series of perks like you are seeing super attack 1 with the stopped sword, axe, dodge, throw, weak attack, and machine gun, slide up or down. Okay, and you just have to take it that way with 61%. Let's remember that we have to be doing all those. In this case, it has not happened with Hulk. You have to be carrying out all the punishing, all the super attacks that this ARES has to be able to gain those vigor improvements under our character's life. In this way, we will gain a series of attack forza and we will be able to do much more damage in the fight against. That's key to being able to do a lot more damage to our characters. Let's remember that this goes to 60% and maybe a little slower phase, so to speak. And you're already seeing how we're trying to defeat him. We basically redo a kind of mini recap of this phase 2. Basically, you will have a copy power. You will not be able to throw super attacks until you reach the power bar, and the super attack is going to be random. And if it starts with H, that was super attack 1, and if it starts with sword, it will be super attack 2, and there you have the 2 commandos. Now, yes, we are going to be moving forward to reach 60% of good or stay close to 60% of our friend ARES to be able to explain that phase number 3. Okay? We're almost there. That's good. We continue to stick a little. We continue to stick, and here we are almost going to reach phase number 3, which I already tell you that things are starting to get quite complicated here. Against this ARES in phase 3, it may be the most tiring, the most painful, because I am going to explain to you why it is worth it. Well, it keeps happening there. It keeps happening ready. 63%, you see the vigor. What it does is that we hit some pretty strong blows, and we are already in phase number 3, which is called aggression, and goes from 60% of life to 31% of life of our ARES. In this case, super attacks can only be punished in the appropriate act of aggression. What are the acts of aggression? Because they basically consist of 2 actions that must be performed in order from left to right, as you are seeing below the life of ARES, with a half blow and an illusion, in which, well, the following pardons are chosen randomly when we start a fight or when the phase begins, and are restarted after each super attack that ARES provides. Also, performing the chosen act at the end of ARES' over attack prevents ARES from moving or attacking. Therefore, this guarantees that the attack that we will provide you as an attacker will have that effect. So, what are the actions we should take? Maybe they are basically throwing the medium attack to the light attack, medium attack in heavy load, and medium attack in super attack, and a backwards dodge in medium attack. Basically, this is, so to speak, adding a little more something to contra ARES. Okay? It's a little complicated for us because now we are going to have to be, so to speak, giving medium blows when the attack is light, and if not, we are going to be able to do it, well, if we try to punish without. The appropriate act of aggression that he tells us is not going up. In this case, it is a medium blow and a weak blow. Now, the middle blow and dexterity have been changed again, since basically he is going to execute an investment and will knock us down instantly. Therefore, this character and all this may be doing us a lot of damage, since he has to join the previous ones. Phase 2, let's remember that super attacks are totally random when you have 2 power bars. That when it starts with an axe, well, to cast the super attack 1, and when it starts with a sword, with the super attack 2, and with the combos that I put below. Okay, let's advance the fight a little, because this phase 3 is the most complicated. But let's remember that we have to pay attention to what it is giving us. In this case, you have to do with medium blows and strong blows. To be able to basically hit him, well, we are going to move forward a little, friends. We are going to reach 31%. We are going to stay a little close, okay? I don't want this video to go too far in the end, because in the end it is an explanation. Against this ARES tomorrow, you will have the right direct in which you will be able to see all the struggles of this eternity of good pain, the time of better pain that is called that, and you can see it all from one, only that of ARES. I will put this one at the beginning because the truth is that the others are the same and I don't want to make the videos fat. The direct is worth it in this case, so well, we have already entered phase number 4, which is called occupation, which goes from 30% to 2% of the life of our opponent ARES, and in this case we add a little more fabric to the very difficult matter, so to speak, to the fight, and every 20 seconds ARES will obtain a passive rush effect for 20 seconds, which is the timer that we are just about to run out of. And that's the color, so to speak, little green. Okay, what makes us in such a hurry that every time ARES goes running, when it moves forward towards us, it is going to become unstoppable. Therefore, the issue of intercepting it is going to be a little complicated for us. Okay, and this timer also pauses during ARES' super attacks and restarts, when he is hit during a strong attack. Okay, so well, you are already seeing how that rush must be taken into account to be able to do good damage, and let's remember that the effects of phase 3 are back. That in this case he becomes aggressive, since they can only be punished with the medium attack and dodges them backwards as we go, well saying ARES under his life, in this case that it was with medium and strong blows, in this case it is with means and with super attacks with the medium attack. Okay, so well, that's what we have to comply with, because let's remember that every time we punish ARES super attacks appropriately, we are going to be gaining those vigor improvements under Pool's life that are the oranges. And we're going to be doing more damage, therefore more blows and faster, making him die, so to speak. I also have to tell you that there is no need to be doing these missions. The only thing is that it is going to cost you more time and more resurrectors to kill these ARES, because basically you are type of attacks, so to speak, of blows. It is designed so that you gain those loads of vigor and do much more damage with your blows. But if you are seeing what blows he is hitting hours of 450, 1023, 1000, and in the end that is how we are going to get out of the fight. But basically at Resul you are also going to be able to pass this fight. Bow. So well, we are going to move it forward a little bit just when we first reach 2 by 1%. In this case, to reach the next phase, there we have it at 3%. I already tell you that if you want help with this ARES or the entire path, you have my WhatsApp in the description, and there I can support you in everything. We have already entered phase number 1, and you are going to see what happens to me. I think it's some kind of bug or something, because it's not. I don't know how this happened. The truth, look, it cancels out. And he just goes back to the middle blow and he just kills us, and there he gets back into the fight, and we just managed to go to phase number 5, which is already the last one. And friends, this is called the oppression phase. This one does go to 1%, and in this case ARES obtains 99 immortality effects that you are already seeing under the life of ARES, which in this case with the addition, well, I have done it, let them advance little by little, and basically every time there is this burden of immortality, our friend, it seems that he will be unblockable in all his super attacks for forgiveness in all his blows, or rather, so the fight may be quite complicated for us. Besides, how do we remove those immortality effects? Well, basically 3 immortality effects will be avoided when we manage to avoid the ARES weapon thing. Basically with everything you see on the right and with what I have been explaining to you throughout phases 2, we are going to remove it when we intercept the opponent. In this case, you have to take into account the rush. That ARES has to be able to intercept him, and so that he doesn't become unstoppable for us, and with that we will be able to remove 2 burdens, as for example you are seeing right now, and also when a passive effect is eliminated when the fight begins, since we will remove an eliminated immortality effect. And almost because we have wings in death, we have 14 unlockable effects, and we also have that rush. Be very careful with that rush. I also have to say here that all the phase effects work in this fight already. We have seen the last tap with our friend Jules, the coup de grace, so to speak, and we already got the first pass. Let's remember that tomorrow I will bring you the very direct of this little fight, of these little fights, well, from the time of pain. And I already tell you that if you want help against this ARES directly against the character, or you want 100% of the mission, you have my WhatsApp in the description. So nothing, friends, you like this, the video is follow me. If you're not, as long as I helped you kill this ARES, and if not, if you need help, you have my WhatsApp. So bye bye.